Today we're going to be talking about the communication plan, which is really all about two different tools that work together in the toolkit. One is the stakeholder analysis, and two is the actual traditional communication plan. So we're going to start with the stakeholder analysis. Now, the stakeholder analysis is a very important tool because we have to identify key individuals. I'll come back to the word individuals later on, but it's important as key individuals, these stakeholders that are affected by this project, that can have an influence, positive or negative, on your particular project. So it's very important to make sure we're communicating. And as you can see by the graphic here, there's a power and influence grid. So we need to say, all right, how much power and influence they have, how interested in the project are they? And then this is going to change throughout too. It's possible that maybe in the define phase, a key stakeholder doesn't add much value because they're more of an implementer stakeholder, right? And then one that's maybe an implementer doesn't have much as we're defining and getting the resources allocated. The point is, though, we're going to have key individuals, key stakeholders that we need to be communicating with. Now, stakeholder analysis is considered to be an internal use only. And that's because of that power and influence grid, and then what we're trying to craft our communication. It can be seen as manipulative. Though we don't mean it and it's not that way, it just doesn't look right when we got, hey, they're powerful and they're influential, and part of my communication plan is to only give them the positives because they are generally, they're leery about this particular process improvement event. So we only want to give them the positives, hopefully sway their opinion and get more buy-in from them. That's not necessarily what you want your key stakeholders to see. So this tool we train and we actually do in real world. We generally keep this internal, and most likely the team leader is the one who has it, and they're generally the ones doing the most communication at this point with it. But the idea is, who are the key stakeholders, and then how do we need to get their buy-in, and how do we need to work with them? Because we may be working cross-functional. Maybe we're going about 7 different siloed operations within an organization. Well, there's key stakeholders in each one of those, and we've got to make sure that we're communicating with all of them and they're communicating with each other. Very, very important for cross-functional teams. Then the other piece is going to be the actual traditional communication plan. Now, the difference with the communication plan, when I said I'll come back to the individuals, is that the stakeholder analysis is for key individuals, for stakeholders, right? So like maybe we're talking about the HR director. It could be by name or by position, whatever, but it's a person. Now, when we're talking about the communication plan is for groups of people. Maybe all member service representatives are going to be affected by this. So we need to have, like weekly communication for those. Or maybe there's certain IT subject matter experts or mortgage lending, or if we're working on a particular machine, the maintenance crew, whatever it is, the subject matter experts, it could be SMEs, right? The SME pocket has to be communicated with. In some organizations that are smaller, this could affect the whole organization in some way. So they might do an all hands on there for communication. So that's possible too. But the whole point is, take a look at this tool here and realize how easy this is to fill out. You can fill this out, a no-brainer, probably about 10 minutes. But the things that you can't answer are really, really simple. So the research we have to do is, well, ask how these folks want to be communicated with, and get a group consensus on, hey, how often should we bring these in? Let's go ask them how they want to be communicated with. Is it internal chat system? Is it by Microsoft Teams? Is it, PowerPoint? Is it a weekly brief? Whatever. But just ask the questions. Don't sit there and make assumptions, just ask. And then the other piece of this is the accountability part is really, really the most important piece. The accountability is just simply a name. Who on the team, or maybe the process owner, or whomever, who is assigned to be accountable for that particular piece of communication with that particular group or that stakeholder. That's the single most important thing that we do on these tools. Again, they're easy. You can see that. You just fill out these columns, pretty easy to do. But the accountability is what the tool is all about. We intuitively know that we need to communicate with different groups and with individuals, but when we write it down and somebody becomes accountable for it, guess what? It actually gets done. I'm going to leave you with these words of wisdom from General Jim Mad Dog Mattis, who's a Marine general. Now, he used to say, what do I know? Who else needs to know it? And have I told them? And that is how I think about communication, no matter if it's a stakeholder analysis, the Comm Plan. That's how I think about all of my communications. Again, I love that. I love those statements from him when he wrote that several years ago. What do I know? Who else needs to know it? Have I told them? So if you think like that, you're going to constantly communicate to the point where some might consider it over communicating. I'll tell you what, that's better than under communicating. Knowing what's going on with this project is going to earn you more buy-in than doing things behind people's backs. So keep yourself open, honest, and transparent with your communication, and things will go really well for you. I promise. I hope that helps you communicate better on your project. Hope to see you in the classroom.